I've been noticing on the commentaries, people dropping their comments regarding, their feelings about, people that happen to be Jewish, and that, oh, it's just a Jewish problem, and if we just dealt with it, we would have less of a problem here. And that's why I want to bring up, and I don't have this gentleman's name in front of me because I believe this is a clip that you sent over to Colin, but I believe he's a professor at Harvard, and he's talking about the rise in anti-Semitism and how that, you even said, somebody like Pollard, somebody like Huckabee, the hatred towards Jews grows exponentially larger as a result of the behaviors of those Zionist Jews. And
because he's talking about my people. Your people don't want anything to do with you. You don't have people. Your people are traitors and pederasses. Those are your people. You're with them. I don't know, but yes, anybody that would actually think that Jewish people are Jonathan Pollard's people, not a good look.
Yeah. So here we go.
Zionist gene that I have, or that Jews have, I'm not compelled to be for or against Zionism because of who my parents were or who their parents were. And for what it's worth, there's new data out just in the last couple of weeks from the Jewish Community Study. In the 18 to 29 age bracket, there are more Jews who identify as anti-Zionist than there are who identify as Zionist.
Okay, so that statistic shouldn't surprise anybody. No. But what that statistic really shows more than anything else, and again, we're only identifying within the Jewish population, that over half the Jewish population under the age of 30 wants nothing to do with Israel. It is an inevitability that the state of Israel is going to collapse because people do not want to support it anymore. And this is only going based off of a very small, concentrated population that they rely upon to keep this state alive. And half of them don't want anything to do with them anymore. And you can imagine that the numbers are changing substantially with a number of other demographics out there, too. So there's also that variable to take into consideration. So Professor Benjamin Idelson, I believe that's how you say it, is a law professor at Harvard. And he's explaining how do not associate me and look, Boston, the Boston suburbs, I mean, that's some of the most Zionist parts of the United States outside of Brooklyn and Miami. So, for him to have to say it in that environment, I'm sure is not easy for him to do, but credit where credit's due for him even saying it and pointing out that numbers don't lie. And I'm sure it's probably even worse than what the statistics are showing.
And what that reflects is that Jews, like other people, understand Zionism as a label for a set of political and cultural commitments that they might embrace, but that they might not embrace. That's why Zionism is an ism. It's not a fact about your birth. On this,
there it is. Same as Judaism, actually, as well. So, things to keep in mind.
Relationship between anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism, or anti-Israel sentiment, which seems quite central. Why there should be a presumption that when somebody says something about Zionism, they're motivated actually by hatred towards Jews. And that's what the courts have rejected, including in the First Circuit case a couple months ago, rejecting the claim by Ms. Gamel's organization, where the court says, look, the fact that some people say anti-Zionist stuff out of anti-Semitic motives does not, as a matter of law, let you presume that everybody who says anti-Israel or anti-Zionist stuff is doing it because they hate.
How about the fact that if that is why they're saying it, they have the right to say it?
Well, there's that. But what's really smart is, and I forgot that I sent this to you. Right? I don't remember sending this to you. I remember liking it. The way he broke it down is very law professor-like and very rational, and it just makes sense when you think about it. And I appreciated his explanation on sort of like, just because all A's are B's doesn't mean all B's are A's. But he explains it in a very logical way.
Well, as Celtic pointed out, and I agree 1,000%, and this is why I try to emphasize to people, and I'm going to emphasize it, and I'll announce it now, guys. James Fishback is going to be my guest on Saturday's Pontificating with Pete episode.
Note that I will not be here. I'm not here on Saturdays, and it was done that way because I just have no words for that man.
And I'm going to bring it up to him specifically about the fact that, as so many others have a propensity to do, the association that, well, it's a Jew problem, so if we just dealt with that, then we wouldn't be, dealing with Israel. It's like, no, that's not it at all. In fact, there's a substantial portion of the population now that is Jewish that wants nothing to do with Israel, but you're not going to hear about it because it doesn't go with the narrative. Because if there's one thing the Zionists want more than anything else is for people to associate Jews with Zionists, full stop. And by doing that, it allows them to maintain their power vacuum. The second you listen to somebody like Professor Idelson, who clearly is Jewish, is saying that Zionism and Judaism are not the same thing and they never will be, that's when you can break the cycle. That's what we're trying to do on our channel.
He's very calm and rational.
Jews. And I think that's just right. I mean, it's right, especially when you, again, look at the data and see that in this age bracket, which is, I think, younger than anyone here, the number of Jews who are professed anti-Zionist is quite high. A lot of the students involved in these protests are Jewish. So the idea that we can conclusively presume if they're saying anti-Zionist stuff, it's because they hate Jews is just factually implausible. It's not how we would think about any other civil rights question.
Exactly. I want to answer Tony D because he's wanting to know, why is James Fishback going to be on this show? Let me tell you, Tony D, he's not going to be on this show. He's going to be on Pontificating with Pete on Saturday night. Okay. So it's a different crowd too. It's a slightly different vibe over there at Pontificating with Pete than we have over here. And, you know, James might find some support over there. I don't know.
I'll give you a good reason.
I don't know.
Because unlike Jen, I am a Florida resident, and the person who wins the GOP primary is going to be my next governor. I don't have a problem talking to him. I think it's necessary, and I'm not gonna go easy on him. You know, if he wants to have a conversation, potentially 1,000+ people might be in the live chat asking questions.
Why would I? Now, I don't know if that's sarcastic. It might be that I don't like him, might be very sarcastic, and I'm just not reading it right. That's the problem with text, guys. I don't know if you're being sarcastic, but no, I'm not usually a fan of misogynists and hypocrites. It's just not my vibe. So, yeah.
Well, I want to point out that when I put up a clip like when we discuss somebody like Professor Idelson and why it's so significant that we address this, we're going to address, again, South Florida and one of the reasons why you get the hell out of there. Now, when Jen was running for Congress, there were numerous events that we attended in Broward County that were I know that's the vibe that's going around. A lot of people think that that's the case. Hey, if it is,
it would answer a few questions.
Yeah, might have to. I think it's imperative that people realize that there is a lot of people within these movements for Free Palestine that they are Jewish. There are a lot of Jewish people. It's not just Jen, you know, and I'm part Jewish. So I would say that for anybody who is involved in any of these events, when they are asking themselves, why is it that there's this association between the Zionist crowd and the anti-Zionist crowd? Well, here's a good example of why people are getting out of South Florida, and basically Little Israel is what it's becoming. This is from over the weekend, and this is in Boca Raton.
I'll tell you what, those are Pollard's people. I think we found Pollard's people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, he was looking for he was talking about his people, and I wasn't sure who his people. I think these are his people.
He's lucky he rolls up like that on that fucking bike.
Only in Boca does somebody like that get to do and then be able to ride away so easily.
Oh yeah, like
he'd be clobbered anywhere else.
And especially in a state like Florida, you roll up on somebody like that, like pulling something out of your pocket. You do understand this is a stand your ground state, and everybody has the right to protect themselves. They're so sure that nothing's ever going to happen to them. That's the problem. And we could get into Mouskowitz in a minute.
You guys need a job.
What about you? What about you showing up on your stupid little dirt bike? You guys need a job. I don't need a job. I live off my parents' money. I don't have to do anything. So this is, I believe,
Make it stop. Wait. We can't. You're gonna talk about Mouskowitz, and you didn't give me opportunity to make a Mouskowitz graphic. That kind of makes me sad.
No, we're just going to talk about it for a second. I didn't.
Okay, because I have some thoughts about a good Mouskowitz. Mouskowitz.
I mean, I know it's very anti-Jewish to do it, but you got to do a mouse.
No, I wouldn't even do it like that. I would actually do it as a cute mouse. There's no reason to make it evil.
A cute mouse?
He's just a little mouse. He's. Do
you know how small? Do people not know how small he is? By the way,
I could see the top of his head, but like, so that's what I wouldn't do it in any sort of. By the way, in any sort of Jewish tropey way at all. I would do it just because he's like this little mouse because he's just insignificant.
That is what it is becoming known as,
yes.
Stephen, and I definitely agree. Boca Raton to Miami Beach especially. See that right there, guys? So Boca Raton City Hall in East Boca, and if you are so inclined, this is a place that you can go if you are in South Florida and make your voices heard. Go
or at least meet some like-minded people.
Yeah.
Meet some like-minded people because you guys are in the belly of the beast.
Well, you have said often, and I agree, that these people should not have a moment's peace. They should live with the hell they've created for as long as they're on this planet. And that's what's going to drive them the most insane. And
you know what else was in Boca, by the way? I don't know if you remember when I was the last campaign, when I went to a Palestine protest. And it was anti-Israel more so than a Palestine protest, but outside of Elbit, there was a location in Boca that my understanding is they have closed down, and I would not doubt that it wasn't because the protesting there constantly and backing up the entire street, but Elbit is Israel's largest, one of their largest weapons military contractor or companies. Well, Elbit Systems makes all their like intelligent, like their spyware techie stuff for their military stuff.